All right. I'm just doing a little dry run here. Don't know if anyone's going to join me, but I'm testing out my audio, video. Have a new camera, got it hooked up, got the software loaded, got the settings all going and everything. Have it on a tripod. That's why I'm looking at the camera now, but I have to look over here to see my screen. I have the computer a little offset. But I do think I am going ahead and do a little bourbon here today in this little dry run so we can test it out. Let me get this lavalier mic up. I hope it's coming through okay. I hope the sounds, I tested it earlier on a private and it sounded good. So we'll go with that. I'm going to put this Jefferson's blend. I'm going to save the Jefferson's Reserve for one of my VR 180s, but I'm going to do this one with, what do I want to put it up against? How about Old Elk? I just want to see, because I really liked it. I enjoyed it as a blend. So I want to see what it does against another blend that I really like as well, which is Old Elk. So let me go ahead and pop this. I'm going to give Old Elk the Bourbon Bounty logo glass here. All right, just taste just a little bit. And now, Jefferson's. Now, just to remind you, this Jefferson's I picked up is a very small batch blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. And I'm sure it's a blend of Jefferson's bourbons. So, going ahead and give these a swirl here. This is kind of neat doing this live, but if no one joins, I don't know, because I only have one computer over here. I don't have the other monitor set up, so I'm not really monitoring it on YouTube to see how many viewers I have or anything like that, but I'm going to get some air in here. We're going to compare the legs on these things, and then let this thing post. So I'll get a little more air in there. All right, remember, this is Old Elk, and this is the Jefferson's very small batch. Legs on these things, very similar. Color, very similar. Old Elk may be a hint darker, but let me switch them around this way. Yeah, it is. It's just a little bit darker. And the reason I switched them around is I wanted to make sure that one wasn't toward the studio lights and the other one wasn't. Give them both a fair shake. Now, we know that they can't put any colors or anything, no additives in bourbon. So, Old Elk, a little darker. It's also hard to get an age statement on a blend because you don't know. They could have blended different bourbons of different ages. Okay, let me... I can tell you, okay, Old Elk is a little softer on the nose. It's coming across like it's gonna be a little less, maybe a little less rye or something, a little more barley mix in there, the barley malt. Yeah, that's got a little floral to it, but it's very subdued. It's not good. It's not there at all. Hey, yeah, I am live. I'm just doing a not so dry run, but I am reviewing a bourbon against a bourbon here. How does it sound? Is the sound coming through? All right, we'll go ahead and give Old Elk a little sip here. That is good. That's what I remember. But I don't like to give a lot of notes on the first sip of the day, so we won't do that. Yeah, I think the legs on, and I know Ann loves it when I talk about legs, they may be a little bit stronger on the Jeffersons actually, but But they're very, very similar. Very good tongue coating. Oh, by the way, before we get into that, I cut my own hair earlier, so I think I do a pretty decent job of it. I just take zip the top and come up the sides with a shorter one. So anyway, not getting COVID. Yeah, it's a really good picture. I have the Logitech Stream Cam. It came in today. So, hey, Saucy Shane. So on the palette, Old Elk. Yep, it's got the caramel. They're of course vanilla, fruity. Getting into some of those dark fruits, maybe fig, stuff like that. So let me go ahead and try the Jeffersons here. And like I said, I was picking up a little more floral off the nose on this one. No, that did not come through at all. Now, it could be that I'm cross-contaminating and one's influencing the other. But I did not get any rye out of that at all. That is a really, really caramelly smooth, silky smooth after following the Old Elk. I'm going to go back and forth. This isn't a real review. I'm just flopping around. I don't have water to rinse my mouth out. Oh man, they both are great. Oh, and I have a Coors Light. So basically I have water to rinse my mouth out. Man, that is some good stuff. All three of those go really well together, by the way. I'm gonna do the Old Elk and then chase it with the Jeffersons one more time, because I really like Old Elk, and I like the Breckenridge is really, really good too. But I'm not going to pour a third one. I have a long night ahead of me. I'm off tomorrow, by the way. I took some time off. Man, that is tasty. Good finish on that. I'm not getting a lot of warmth back here, but these are both lower alcohol content, above 40, but let me see, what is Old Elk? It is 44%, only 88 proof. And I say only because I kind of measure off that 90 and above. And then the Jefferson's is 82.3, 41.15. So they are extremely close. Jefferson's is a little less alcohol content. That caramel is coming through really well with the Jeffersons, especially after following the Old Elk with it. Yep, got to stay hydrated. So new cam, like I said, this is a not so dry run. Testing out the sound. I have my lavalier mic. I'm running through an H1N recorder, only I have it set to act as an input, like a preamp going in to the computer. So the sound should be coming through like it does on my VR180 videos. And then, of course, this isn't VR180, but it is full HD 1080 at 60 frames per second. Most of the cams out there that say full HD are at 30 frames per second, so you can just imagine, you get more frames per second, you get better movement without blur, without, lag. So you can move around a little bit quicker, but let's stay hydrated. Yeah, I'll be smiling wide tonight. Man, that is good. That beer and whiskey, it goes pretty good together, especially when you have a beer that hardly has any flavor to it. Man, I tell you, it's hard to pick a favorite between those two. I think Old Elk's a little darker, so a little more from the caramel into maybe a hint of molasses, and like I said, that deeper fig note to it. I believe this one's a little more apple, maybe like a fresh apple pear. and more caramel than molasses. So, but they're both about equal on the sweetness scale. So if this was super sweet and this was super dry, they're both right up in here in the middle somewhere. Neither one of them are overbearingly sweet. I think if I poured a little snip of Elijah Craig, I call it the honeysuckle bourbon. Smiling wide and talking about legs, what is better than that? Yeah, I guess. Crazy Ann, did you hear me say I cut my hair? I cut my own hair. I did it just a little bit ago. I think I shaped it up right nice. What do you think? Let me try this. I may be getting a little lag. You know, the more stuff I'm running through here, my chat may be, I saw earlier, I looked and I had a couple of little chat things, and all of a sudden it jumped up and it showed 5 at once. So if I am getting a little bit of a lag, it's probably because of the power I'm having to use to run this cam and the sound going in. Yeah, I was gonna join some more stuff last night, but a friend, actually of my wife, went to law school with his brother. There's Cheeto and Chewy, and Chewy is a stand-up comedian. And I watched an improv show last night with him on it. So I was a little late to the party, and then I had to get to bed. All right. Man, these bourbons are fantastic. And like I said, this was just a little short run. I'm glad y'all could join and I could see the chat and see how this is really going to work. And I'll, of course, go back and watch this. I don't want it to be too long. It's about 12 and a half minutes right now. Oh, I see 3 viewers. I'm still learning StreamYard, so I don't really know where to look, all of the controls and everything, but I can see three viewing. That's how long I've been live, and there's the chat. Of course, if I had other people up, I could select different views and all of that stuff. But when I do my live stream on Saturday, this will be the format right here. Teresa's here. That's the third one. Hello. So yeah, I'm just glad that the camera finally came in. It was a long time coming. I ordered it back. It was supposed to be here in June. See, I ordered it in May. No, yeah, in May. And it was delayed because everyone's working from home and everyone's getting all these cams. And so I ordered it, and then they said, oh, it's going to be the end of June. So call us back at the end of June. So I got back in touch with the company at the end of June, and they said, oh, it's going to be the end of July. And I told them then, I said, you have one more shot at this, and I'm going to cancel and get my money back. And they said, yeah, we'll refund it. So I was going to have it overnighted once it got there, but they didn't contact me. And I got a shipping notification on Monday. And so it made it here today. So I'm happy about that, and I could get it all set up this evening and go through this little dry run for Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern. The live stream I'm going to be doing at 5 p.m. Eastern on Saturday is called Viewer's Choice. And what I want is, and Crazy Ann's going to be helping me out and help me watch the chat and everything. And then we will, oh, yeah. I wasn't really worried about the notification for today. Like I said, this was kind of I did a couple of privates, but I wanted to see what the experience was live. So this was just a spur of the moment, let's just do it, start it up and do it. Didn't really have a big plan. Hey, Robot Scott. All right. I didn't really have a big plan for today except to try out the sound and the new camera. And like I said, I've been sipping back and forth on Old Elk and Jefferson's very small batch blend, because Old Elk's a blend and I really like it. So been given a few notes on that. A little darker flavor on the Old Elk, a little more caramel into molasses, but neither one of them are super sweet, but they're right there in the middle, which is what I enjoy. Not a lot of oak notes on either one of them, but there is some good fruits like fig and things like that out of the Old Elk. I'm not getting leathers and tobaccos. I mean, there's nothing like super aged or anything here. Getting a little smoother, silkier tongue feel off of the Jefferson's very small batch, and more into the caramel and up out of the dark notes, a little more apple pear. And when you try them back and forth like that, you can really bang them against each other, but they also influence each other. So, you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And I'm drinking a Coors Light because you have to stay hydrated. But I like the flavor of the Coors Light with the bourbons breaking up in between. But normally when I do a bourbon review, I'll do it, you know, of course, normally it's in VR 180, but I'll record it and I'll enjoy the rest of the bourbon while I'm stitching the video and doing the sound and getting it ready to go up on YouTube. And then after that, I get all that done and I have it uploading, and I usually crack open a Coors Light after that. So can't drink bourbon all night long. It would hurt you bad. So and just so you know, I only poured these about to there, so a couple of little tiny shots of bourbon is not going to hurt anybody. Until about midnight, I guess. Maybe 1. Yeah, about 1 o'clock. I'll be hurting. Well, I won't be hurting because I'll stop drinking. But there it is. Been on here 17 minutes. I'll go a little bit longer. Hunt for Heat just showed up. Sheriff Buford T. Cletus is here. Bama Rush is here. We're starting to get some folks on the live. Again, I didn't want to push this out. I was, I mean, I don't mind. I mean, we can have the live, but I want to stop this one because I want to go back and watch it, and well, or I may just watch the first part of it or something to see what it sounds like and what the video looks like. Like I said, I posted a couple of private videos earlier, just messing with the settings, trying to get the light saturation. I have studio lights back here coming in. I was changing the camera settings. I was changing the sound settings, going through, turning settings on and off on my H1N recorder. I'm using it as a pass-through to the computer. So I wanted to go through and say, this is at 80 hertz, this is at 120, this is at 160, you know, and give myself some walkthroughs. You know, this is with limiter on, this is with limiter off, this, you know, and all that type of stuff to get the best setting. So yeah, the Old Elk is really tasty. If anybody wants to come up, I can push the link out. Let's see here. I believe that would be it right there. And then I can stop reviewing bourbon at any time. Man, I love that stuff. Old Elk's fantastic. And so is Jefferson's very small batch. We'll just slide that one back. Put that one right in there. Yeah, I have the camera turned just a little bit. I wanted to get the artwork over here but man, it's so far over. It's way over here, and you can see it on the VR180s, but I don't think the VR180 is as clear as this camera. I mean, this is recording, or not recording, but streaming 60 frames per second. I'm not dressed up. That's all right. If we don't have anybody come up, I'll end this thing here in a little bit because I'm running out of things to talk about, but I do want to finish these two little bourbons here. Getting ready for work. Dang, I just got off work. I got off work about an hour ago. All right, well, again, to recap, you can't go wrong. I mean, I love some blends because blends give me, they tend to have more notes in them because they're a hodgepodge of, I mean, it's not just a hodgepodge. Somebody is actually tasting and blending for a purpose. If you haven't tried Legent, which is part of the Beam Suntory lineup, it's Legent. I have not tried it. I can't get it around here, but I'm really, really anxious to try it because it's a blend. But what it is Beam, Suntory bought Jim Beam, and it became Beam Suntory. And I forget the Japanese guy's name. He's the master distiller in Japan. But of course, they distill stuff in the style of Scotch. So they went to Scotland, studied Scotch, and then they went back to Japan and learned to use local source stuff to make in the style, you know, all of Scotch. And the Japanese guy came over and worked with, I guess it was probably Eddie Russell or whoever. No, Eddie Russell is, Eddie and Jimmy are Wild Turkey. Booker no. And worked with them and selected bourbons, and the Japanese master distiller tasted and blended the bourbons together to fit a Japanese palate. Now, if you don't know this, I was in the Air Force and I'd lived in Japan for 4 years. So I like sushi and I like, you know, a lot of things Japanese. I would like to try it. It's very interesting to me. So, oh, Shinji, yeah, Fukuyo. And it's actually pronounced Hukuyo. But I used to live in a little town. It was Fusa, and it's pronounced Husa because they pronounce like a WH for an F. But Shinji is Shinji. Yep, I'm going to finish these. And they are good. I have tried Hibiki. I do like Hibiki. I went to there's a place in Dallas, Texas, and we have an office there, and I have to travel there. I have people that work out of that office. Not right now because COVID, but back last year or whatever, I had to go there. And of course, I sucker some vendor into taking me out. But there's a place there called the Republic in Dallas, and it's not really called a whiskey bar, but I mean, they have a book this thick of scotches and whiskeys and bourbons. I mean, they have 4 pages, little fine print of bourbon. And they did not have, and I didn't really care that they had the Pappies, but they did have Old Rip, and I didn't even waste my money on it, or their money. It wasn't my money, because I've had it before. But I did get to try some bourbons that I had not had before. And I can tell you that the Bob Dylan bourbon, the Heaven's Gate, is really, really good. And they were, the only problem was I didn't have a snifter. They only serve in like big glasses, and they have the clear ice, and they have a huge clear ice maker, and they cut them into the squares, cubes, and put it in. but I wanted mine neat, and it was very little in the bottom of this huge glass, and it's hard to funnel the notes to the nose when you have a glass that looks like a 50-gallon wash tub with barely any bourbon in the bottom of it, but it works. You can probably tell I'm leaning toward the Old Elk more, but I like the darker flavors. Send me a sample of what? Oh, the Legion? Yeah, if you want to, I have some vials, Scott, and I'm ready to trade. I can send you whatever. You probably have everything I have. People say I have a huge collection. Robot Scott, that's who has the collection. How many bourbons do you have? Or whiskeys in general? I mean, mine aren't all bourbons, but I only have, well, I say that, but I have Bernheim back here. It's the only non-bourbon on this shelf. I have another shelf over there. I don't even know if we're connected on Instagram. I mean, I'm Bourbon Bounty on Instagram. So Insta Direct is a good way to communicate if we want to get together and swap a little bit. Oh, yeah. No, my wife came in and I was putting up a new shelf over here, with all of these things, and setting up the studio, and I moved all these bottles over here. And before, they were on an oak shelf that's pretty deep, and you couldn't really tell how many bourbons I had because they were all like 3 and 4 deep up there. But I still have a full shelf over there, 2 deep all the way across. But all of these bourbons came over here, and my wife walks in and she goes, "Holy shit, do you think you have enough bourbon?" And I said, "No, I don't." Absolutely not. All right, yeah, I'll look for you on Instagram, and yeah, we'll hook up. And get that done. I bought these vials because I was going to send my son. He lives in Kansas City, and I bought this big 12-pack thing, and I bought the foam that goes in the Pelican case, but I was only going to use it to put inside a cardboard, to press the foam against the bottles so that they wouldn't rattle around. And I was going to send him some bourbons, but the first bourbon I had him try was Elijah Craig. And because I thought it had softer notes, it's not too complex, it's easy intro level, but it's not watery, it's not, the bottom shelf stuff, mid shelf, and but you can really pick up the vanillas and the wildflower honeysuckle type stuff out of it. And I was, and we did a private live stream that I then downloaded from YouTube, edited and re-uploaded it. So we didn't do a live stream. We did a private live stream, and he's so stuck on Elijah Craig now that he's like, I don't want to try anything else right now. I want to just enjoy the Elijah Craig. So I was like, okay. But he buys those little little pint bottles or whatever of it, a little bit at a time. I only buy 750 milliliter. That's there's only one bottle I have that's not 750, and that's the Weller, because I was driving through Georgia, and I can't even get Weller here, Weller Special Reserve. And when I was driving through Georgia, they had Weller, and I grabbed it because I thought it was so cheap. I thought it was 750 milliliter. When I picked it up, I was like, holy crap. Okay, question, Bama Rush. Jameson. Okay. If you like Jameson, I would say try Monkey Shoulder. Monkey Shoulder to me is more, I wouldn't call it a really good Scotch, but it's decent. Oh, Texas. Well, I tell you what, man, I couldn't hardly find the Weller Special Reserve when I was in Texas. I lived there for 17 years, but yeah, I couldn't. I mean, Georgia, I live in North Carolina, so I can just drive down through South Carolina and bam, there I am. But I can also drive north and get to Kentucky, so why do I need to go to Georgia? But driving down, because we went to Disney, and I had a pocket full of cash. But I like Irish whiskeys, I like Scotch here and there, but my swim lane that I know most about is bourbon. But Tennessee whiskeys, American whiskey, Canadian whiskey, I have Whistle Pig up there because I do like rye, and that's 100% rye. Oh yeah, grown man baseball cards. That's right. I could put some stuff up there. Let's see. Yeah, if I click on it and say show it, there it is. Oh yeah, James, and I was just talking about that earlier about chasing the bourbon with beer. Especially the Coors Light, and I don't know about an IPA. I think that depends on what it is. They can be a little floral, you know, depending on what hops are used in there or whatnot. I wouldn't want to hide the flavor. I think Coors Light is so mellow, it just kind of enhances the flavor. All right, that was the Jefferson. Man, I tell you what, I like both of those. They're really good. Stout finish one that I really like. Yep. But my wife used to drink Scotch, and I remember a long time ago I bought her like a 30-year Glenlivet or something. I don't remember if it was Glenlivet or it was Glen something. And like I said, my swim lane's bourbon. But yeah, I went in and they had it behind the glass, and I was like, yeah, give me that, and went up there to pay for it, and I had ticket shock when I went to pay for it, but she let me have that much of it. And she doesn't, she drinks wine now. That's about it. Just wine. Yeah, the Old Elk is really, really good. I like the Old Elk. I put it, now that I have the Jefferson's very small batch blend, Old Elk's a blend, and the Breckenridge. And I like all three of them about the same, but they're different. There's different notes, definite different notes in them. But yeah, I love them all three. My favorite, and I get a lot of freaking flack for this, is the Blade and Bow. And I know that their backstory is bogus about we're maintaining some of that original whatever. No, it's all gone, right? But the Solera aging, where they leave a little in the barrel, I don't care if some of that original is there or not. It's still aging, and then they put more in on top of it, and I think it creates a complexity that you can't get from that young of a bourbon. I just really enjoy it. I think I get a lot of leather and tobacco out of it, and it's one of my go-tos for cigars and things like that. So, tastes like pine needles. Well, it depends on the Scotch, yeah. And then I don't care for the over peated, the peat smoked Scotch that tastes like you lick an ashtray when you taste it. I like I think it's, which one is it? Robot Scott may be able to help me out. Is it Southern or Northern that has more peat in it? I forget now. There's different areas of Scotland, and I think maybe it's south. If you go too far south, it may be too smoky, and if you go back up north, they don't use as much of the peat smoke. Monkey shoulder is very, it just tastes like butterscotch. It's real buttery. It's that different flavor, certainly different than bourbon. And if I had both my Macs up here, I'd be Googling it over here on the side, but I don't have that choice, and I don't want to bring up too much on the screen because I think my computer's using enough power just doing what it's doing right now, and I don't want a bunch of skips. So, yeah, I don't, and that's another thing. You know, a lot of the marketing with bourbons, whiskeys in general, it's a bunch of freaking hype, and they come up with some story. And just like the story of the Four Roses, all the historical, you know, the historians and all will tell you that's pretty much all BS, what they just wrote on their website. But people read it and they're like, oh, she had 4 roses and they were going to get married. That's not even what the hell. I don't even know. You don't know the truth, you know. Well, I'm out of bourbon, guys. And I'm not going to pour any more because I'm going to be drinking this all night. Let's see. Where was the... Right there. I'll just take that back off the screen. I don't want to leave that up there forever. All right, Saucy Shane. I'll be back Saturday. Like I said, this is a not so dry run. Guys, we've been going for about 37 minutes. Wasn't even planning on this. So hopefully the sound's good, picture's good to go. I wanted to go for a little while to make sure that the internet's going to hold up and it's not going to start skipping after a while. I am on the beefy Mac, so you pay $3,000 for something, you expect it to run right. But I'm going to go ahead and end this, so might as well do it. As always, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell down there for notifications, and I promise I'll keep bringing you these videos.